Hey, YouTube. Wanted to come to you today to talk about diligence and due diligence. A lot of times when you hear people talk about due diligence, they're talking about investments. You know that pretty much all investments have risk, and there's risk with most everything that you do. And Jesus talked about doing a form of due diligence because he wanted you to consider the cost before you try to do something. He gave many examples of that. He talked about a guy that put his hand to the plow and looked back. He talked about a guy that was going to build a tower and he was not able to complete it because he didn't realize what it meant and what he was trying to do. He also talked about things of great price, like a treasure of great price or a pearl of great price, and buying a field and putting it there, selling all that he owned to have it. Uh, he had encountered something that was of great value and it changed his life. But I would suggest to you that I think a lot of people that they claim Christianity as their religion, but obviously they haven't counted the cost, or you could say that they've looked back after having put their hand to the plow, because you don't see any evidence of their life having been changed. They look the same. In fact, some of them will pop off and say that uh, they don't need to change. They've said a prayer. They've walked down an aisle. They've made a confession of faith, and that's all there is to it. And they're good now. They got their ticket punched, and they're on the way to heaven. But there's too many contradictory Bible verses and statements by Jesus himself to continue on believing in a notion like that. But diligence can be good or bad. Diligence, people, a lot of times they think of diligence as persisting in a line of work, or, being productive even when no one is looking, when you have a goal in mind. But, and in that connotation, they think of it as something good. And generally speaking, it is. But it's not only good people that are diligent, bad people are diligent too. The enemy is diligent. He's working on his plans. He's working on his schemes. You know, he's very intent on his goals, and you know, much like in jujitsu, he's and like him, or like any adversarial situation, we should always be looking at how we can get out of the hole that we're in, or gain an advantage of some kind. And he's always doing that, when a lot of times professors of Christianity are asleep, and they're not paying attention even to what they're doing themselves. They're just not. But he's always paying attention. He's always looking for an advantage. Uh, but diligence can be good or bad. It really depends on the goal that you have, and the available means that you have to try to get to that end state. Uh, so I would say stop thinking about diligence as necessarily a good thing. You know, Hitler was diligent. He was very diligent, you know. Idi Amin was diligent. You know, it's not necessarily a positive connotation. Satan is diligent, but in that line of thinking, that I would suggest to you and to myself, examine your time, thoughts, your efforts. To what end are they directed? You know, our actions are derived from our thoughts, and our thoughts are derived from our values and our responses to the circumstances we find ourselves in. You know, consideration before action. If you should think about things before you do them. If I write up a contract and I want you to sign it, that contract, until it's signed, it's for your consideration. You should consider what's in it and what it means prior to committing to it. You know, and you can consider temptation. You can consider sin. You shouldn't, but before you do it, you do consider it. And I would ask to, in terms of your efforts and your the results of what you do, who are you being obedient to? Whose will are you following? Who are you pleasing with what you say and what you think and what you do? And just kind of look at yourself, even your own thoughts, and just, wonder, why am I thinking this? Why am I looking at this? You know, why do I listen more intently to a person than I should? You know, why why do I notice someone's appearance more than I should? Pay attention to your responses to things that are outside of your control. Maybe you don't sit around and think about things deliberately that are wrong, but you get presented with these things just in daily activities, and it's a it's a bad thing, you could say, but it's also an opportunity for you to consider how you're responding to it, even if it's just internal. And then I want to talk about holy orders. Most of the time, when people talk about holy orders, they're talking about religious things and organizations. But I would ask you, are your actions orderly? Are your thoughts orderly? The Apostle Paul talks about bringing every thought captive. What is your highest need? What is it that you most desire? You know, if you find a pearl of great price or a treasure, will you sell all that you have to go and get it? Or will you say, make an excuse like that rich young guy that spoke to Jesus? But can you be in holy order? Can your thoughts and your words and your actions be in holy order? I think it should be a highest ideal that we strive for and hope for. Anyway, hey, look at this. I'm on the second story porch of a house, new construction, on the water. So before you commit to Christianity, before you truly give your life to the Lord and commit your life to the service and worship and admiration and discipleship of Jesus Christ and of the Holy Spirit, you should consider the cost. You should do your own due diligence and see that a lot of his followers were martyred. They didn't necessarily achieve worldly wealth, and in spite of the prosperity preachers, they what they say flies in the face of a couple thousand years of contrary examples to that. But they were storing up for themselves treasures in heaven with eternal things that moth and rust do not destroy. But I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you will consider having your life in holy order and doing your own diligence, your own due diligence, and look at who is discipling you, because they may be discipling you down the wrong road. You, they may be teaching you to sin or to make excuses for sin. Start with at least being aware of it, and and then work on your response to it. And may your response improve and do better and better as time goes on. And I pray that I pray that you'll please the Lord more and more. It's it's like 75 degrees, and it just rained. But I hope you're doing well, and just know that holy orders are not some kind of religious organization, in spite of what people might have you believe. But holy order, having yourself in holy order, is this possible? Can it be your goal? I pray that that's the case. Till next time.